Hi everyone, let's return to our playful question from our first video. Would Jesus have a smartphone today? Now it's more than hypothetical, for it invites us to reflect deeply on the kind of world we live in. If Jesus came to dwell among us now, would he scroll through apps? Would he live stream the Beatitudes? More importantly, what does our technology do to us, to our minds, our hearts, our imaginations? In this video, I'd like to talk about how technology, especially in our modern age, does more than just solve problems. It changes the way we understand reality itself. Now, to help us do this, I will lean on Neil Postman, a communications theorist, who offers a helpful framework, 3 stages of culture in relation to technology. The first is what he calls a tool-using culture, the second, technocracy, and the third, technopoly. So let's begin with the first stage, the tool-using culture. For Postman, in this stage, tools serve religious or cultural or moral ends. Think of a hammer, a loom, or a plough. These are tools that extend human capacity, but remain subordinate to meaning. They are contextualized by broader needs. They require skill, and they're symbolic. A stained glass window reveals divine truth. So a characteristic element of this stage, the tool-using culture, is that of extension. It extends human capacity. Let's move to the second stage, technocracy. With the rise of the machine, tools begin to shape institutions. Schools, politics, even churches adapt to the logic of technology. Now, efficiency becomes a value in itself. Quantity over quality, speed over depth. And the characteristic of this age is that of alienation. If we think of a machine, we think of a button that alienates what I do and the effect that happens. And note, there's not a skill involved here as there is in a tool-using culture. You're not a skilled button pusher, but you could be a skilled user of a hammer. So alienation is a characteristic of technocracy. Now let's move to the third, technopoly. Now, Postman's most chilling insight is technopoly, where technology is the culture. It no longer just supports life, it defines it. We don't ask the question, should we ask, can we? Truth is outsourced to algorithms. Value is determined by utility. Even people are reduced to human resources. Postman states that technopoly is a state of culture where technology is deified. It seeks its authorization in technology, finds its satisfaction in technology, and takes its orders from technology. So, smartphones are not just tools, they're horizons. They shape what we see, how we see, and even what we desire. Virtual reality feels real. Notifications feel urgent. Social media feels like connection. But there is a veiling, a dissimilation, not too dissimilar from the fig leaves in Genesis. Unlike traditional machines, we don't see the mechanics of smart tech. The code, the data, the manipulation, all are hidden. The screen is smooth, frictionless. Now that's the point, but it masks our dependence. It feels like freedom, but it's deeply formed by invisible makers. Our desires are curated. Now this is our new fig leaf, not covering our skin, but covering our insecurity, loneliness, and anxiety. We appear strong, curated, filtered, but underneath, we are hiding the same fear that Adam and Eve felt. Heidegger warned that the greatest danger of technology is not what it does to the world, but what it does to our way of revealing the world. The question, or rather problem, is not technology, but rather idolatry. So what's the remedy? Well, it's a return to poiesis, a true revealing. A flower blooming, a poem written, a child learning. These reveal truth slowly, gently, beautifully. That works in opposition to Heidegger's notion of Gestell, a challenging force, which is modern technological revealing, which sees the world as a standing reserve. In that world, we are simply users and consumers. Nothing arrives, everything is extracted. And the greatest danger, Heidegger, is that we forget that we are forgetting. We no longer know what we've lost. Postman reminds us, technologies are not found objects. They tell stories. A hammer tells a story of labor. A smartphone tells a story of control, immediacy, and performance. If the medium is the message, as Marshall McLuhan says, what message are we internalizing? Let's look at the example of the car. What story or narrative or message does the car give us? Well, it gives us an incredible capacity for mobility. But at the same time, it also speaks of alienation, traffic, and the suburban sprawl. Henry Ford's assembly line changed labour. It made work faster, but also more mechanical. In fact, he created the 5-day work week. And so technology, these technical tools, they change the world not by accident, but by design. Now, a side note, the Italian philosopher Augusto Del Noce calls this the totalitarianism of disintegration. A few big words there, a totalitarianism of disintegration. It's not a tyranny of force, but of forgetfulness, where the individual is absorbed into a technical system with no appeal to higher values. We no longer ask whether something is true, good, or beautiful. We only ask whether it works. Now, this is dangerous because it excludes transcendence. It makes eternity irrelevant. So, what is the remedy? How do we resist this technopoly? Not through rage or revolt, but through reverence. We move from screens to windows. Pascal once said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Screens reflect, windows reveal. We must become windows. Goethe said, each day hear a song, read a poem, see a painting, speak a word of truth. Beauty slows us down, it roots us in reality. It rehumanizes us. Our bodies, our faces, our touch. These are elements of beauty. These manifest rather beauty. And they are sacramental, they are signs of beauty. That's why Jesus healed with a touch, not a click. Sacraments are our answer. They're physical, beautiful, tangible. The Eucharist is not a download. It's bread broken, given, and shared. So let's return to our original question. Would Jesus have a smartphone? Well, Jesus loved encounter, not immediacy. His way was incarnate, not instant. He looked into people's eyes. He touched the untouchable. He never reduced people to profiles or avatars. And so I think there are a few reasons why Jesus wouldn't have had a smartphone or a screen. There are 3 dimensions, I think, to a screen. First, immediacy. Second, it's fluid. And third, it's reductive. At the click of a button, I can order Uber Eats. I can check the sports score and check the weather on the other side of the world. It's all immediate. But Jesus was patient. As St. Paul says in his letter to the Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, often read at weddings. It's immediacy versus patience. The second is a screen is fluid. Because Jesus was incarnate. Jesus touched the leper. There was something concrete about that, which a screen lacks. And the third is a screen is reductive. It reduces everything to data. The screen itself is 2D, whereas us being physical bodies are in 3D, so there's always something lost in that reductivity. Whereas Jesus was characterized as a man of integrity, integration. He came to redeem not just a reductive aspect of each person, but the whole person. So I don't think he'd carry a smartphone, but I think he would challenge us to ask, what is your heart oriented towards? So we live in a liquid world, as Pope Francis says, one that moves fast, that consumes constantly, that is immediate, and that forgets the heart. But it's the heart that unifies, that can bring together the disintegration that we often experience. It's the heart that synthesizes, that restores. So let us step away from distraction, not to reject the world, but to see it again. Let us recover the poetic, the sacramental, the beautiful. For to remember, aletheia, truth, is to belong again, to be a member, to become fully human. Not just productive, not just connected, but awake. God bless.